Welcome to the Wonder Women's Collective podcast. I'm your host, Gracie Hins. Before we jump into it, if there's any chance that you could review us on Spotify or Apple or wherever it is that you're listening today, that would be super helpful. We also just finished wrapping up our first event at the Leavenworth Trail Fest with mountain running races, and it was just so special to be there and be able to host a cool space and place for women to meet up before the event started. Today's episode is with Sami Sauri, who I met at the Traka, and it was just such a joy to be able to sit down and chat with her. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that you guys do as well. I'm also kind of happy that this got bumped back to post Traka, because now I feel like I have a much better idea of who you are and have way more fun questions that I can ask. And also it was the cutest thing ever because I think it was the second day of the 560, I think. I don't know. It was right before you ended up calling it. But I was in town just hanging out with some ladies, and it was just so cute because all of them were like, "Did you see Sammy's updates? Did you see is she okay?" And it was just so cute because I was just it was cool to see how I feel you have your internet presence, but your internet presence is so just genuine and fun, and it's cool to see how many people in the community are just so invested in everything that you're doing. So that was super sick to see. But the first question that I love to just ask people and open up with is, who are you and what do you spend your time doing?
I guess I am Sami. I am Spanish for everybody that doesn't know. Okay, I'm Spanish, born and raised in Barcelona, so big city, and moved out of the city as much as I could since I was young. What do I do? I guess I do a bunch of stuff. I love doing even more things that I can, and I'm currently a full-time cyclist. I also have my production company, which is a bit more in pause and just me currently. So I do photo and video and obviously editing of both.
Mhm.
And then I live in Chamonix, so I guess I do a lot of mountain sports like alpine and skiing and climbing and now maybe paragliding. So yeah, I love everything. I love sports. I love being outside. So as much as I can do, I will be outside.
Yeah, well, and I feel like it's fun too because right now you kind of have your adventure more tagline, which I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about that because I know you've you're saying you've always been very driven by the different sports and just how it seems like you're very driven by the fun element of it, but then also are a pro gravel cyclist too, but then kind of opening up that space for what does adventure more mean and what's kind of the vision for that this year?
So over the past, yeah. So over the past years, I've raced gravel. I've raced it the first two Traka and the Rift Unbound in 2018, and
Mhm.
when there was no start line of really pros, and there was a couch that everybody will take a photo on the middle of the course, and so I've came into the gravel quite early, let's say. I came from fixed gear, so completely something different.
Mhm.
Um, and then I've realized that gravel have gotten so serious, AC, very aero, and I sort of fall in at some point on that. Not last tracker, but the one before, so not 2024, but 2023. And trained it a couple months. I finished, top 10. I think I was 6 or 7. I can't remember now. Don't really care. But it was whoa, this is jumping up the level. And then obviously pros from the road came and stuff. And I wanted to still have fun. And I felt like I was putting my pressure because I didn't want to also give 30 to 40 hours a week of my time to things like a one race that maybe finishes in 5 minutes. And I've
Yeah.
seen that behind the camera and in front of the camera. So yeah, so it was I was gonna reach one of my best results in migration gravel race a couple years back as well, and I broke my sacrum, and that was it.
Oh my
And then it's
gosh.
a long time to get back into the confidence and just being back in there. And then the scene just went boom, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I always said that I wanted to do ultra endurance events, but because I loved the long distance, but I was like, oh, I should not do this. I could do it in bikepacking. Why would I do a race if I could put my own timings, you know? More and more I got into, I like got invited to Across Andes as my first ever ultra endurance race for everybody. Like the things that
Mhm.
I've not. And yeah, I don't know, the community, the cheering, like I don't know, everything around it. But I couldn't not bring my camera. And the first Across Andes, I DNF after 320 kilometers because it was pouring rain. I was not having fun. I had so much anxiety of like trying to do the result. And I was like, I couldn't sleep for 3 days. So like the pre-race, the race, on the race while it was raining, and then trying to sleep again and stuff. Like it was impossible. It was like just saw myself into like this deep hole of like, no, I don't want this. And sorry, this is taking forever, but
Oh, this is
um,
good.
I'm like,
All the backstory we need.
and yeah, and then this year I decided to like, what's the thing that motivates me more than anything is like to document on the bike everything that I see. And I was like, okay, I need to
Yeah.
bring my these races and do it in a way that I can adventure more into, but still doing the event, you know, like still
Yeah.
doing the community and the people. And that's how more or less like became, because you can like there's 10 people to race on these ultras, but there's also all the other ones that adventure more into the unknown, into challenges that they take maybe 2 years to, you know, like prepare. And I wanted to dig in more into that field and not so much into the competitive. I did finish second last year randomly in Across Andes, but the women's field was not very big.
Hmm.
So it was, you know, it was what it was. They had a few DNF of the girls who are in the front, and obviously things happen in ultras. Everything can happen,
Hmm.
and it goes to plan. So
Hmm.
that's all I learned. So yeah, you know, I tackled, you know, like the Traka that I didn't finish, but it was what it was, and I was not sad. I mean, obviously I was sad to not be able to showcase what I wanted to showcase to everybody on this last tracker, but I was also happy to have finished and not destroy myself just by a result, you know?
Well, and also the build up to the 560, like, because you'd been on the road for like the whole month before that, right? Like, was it hills, gravel, and then you flew to Sea Otter and were there, and then did a trip in the Sequoias, and then made it back and were like jumping like headfirst into Traka, and then like, I mean, like all of that, and then like jumping into like an ultra endurance race.
Not smart. I literally realized that I was not 20 anymore and that my body was not handling the same as I thought it could handle, because I've rested, you know, I didn't move this winter. I didn't travel. I promised myself I'm gonna stay as much as I can in Chamonix, and I did it. And it was awesome. My like I started so motivated, and I had all these plans, and because I had such a break with skiing that, you know, the head was also in a very good space. And then yeah, I did all this, and then I was cooked. I was absolutely exhausted. Obviously the hills gravel in the conditions were not easy.
Yeah, it looked
uh
terrible. I mean, like
it was,
kind of fun, but kind of just terrible. I was like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a touch of fun.
yes, yes.
But then that put me a bit on the edge, and then I still wanted to train hard and went to Girona and did 5 day, full 5 day block, very hard just before flying to America, which is also flying is not resting and it's not like easy. And I had a person coughing next to me and blah blah blah. So and then sea order is like full on, like you stand
Yeah.
for 5 hours talking, because every 200 meters you talk to somebody that you know you didn't still for like ages. So and then well the bikepacking trip as well, though, that I was doing as a photographer, videographer, and as a writer as well. So obviously things, you know, scaled up a little bit. And I still have my tracker nails.
Also, how was the Sequoia's trip? Because that looked cool. Where did the route like go for that?
So my friend Federico Vadoni, who is like also a photographer, writer, and an amazing person, that he's like, oh, let's do this and that, and it was gonna be a chill trip, and it became like this big thing, and he made everything, the route and
Okay.
stuff. challenging route. I'm not gonna lie. We didn't finish a few stages, but it was incredible. We did like two of the beautiful parks, Sequoia, but also we did Yosemite.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it was completely covered and we didn't saw one wall.
How did like when did the photography element of everything like come into your life? And like when did you kind of choose like, okay, I'm gonna take this a bit more seriously? Or like, I mean, like I feel like from an outsider, like it makes so much sense in the way that it's like woven through your interests and like everything that you've been a part of. But yeah, like how like when did you first kind of take that seriously?
First, and funny that I still have it. First time I got a camera was when I was 6 years old. Actually, it's a very funny. I need to show it to you. I know this is my first camera.
I love
It,
that you just have this right here.
you look like with two eyes.
Yeah. Wait, so how does it take a picture?
Like
Oh my gosh. Wait, that's amazing.
it doesn't
It's a
work.
little
Like
Fisher Price one.
I don't know if it works. I bought it because it was my first camera, and I found it again. This is my grandma's camera, so
Okay.
like generation stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, my aunt gave it to me when I was 6 years old, my
Yeah.
birthday, and I took photos. And I remember my mom was telling me you were taking photos of feet, of like random ants and like sky and like super random.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know, I started buying some flea market like analog cameras for a long, long time until on 2018 as well. I had the opportunity to go to the Route 66
Mm-hmm.
and with Angus Morton, and he lent me the first digital camera, and I took all the photos of that trip.
Okay.
And that was when I realized, wow, this is like I could do this, like I can go on ride and take photos, and it was, yeah, it just became part of me.
Well, and I feel like it opens up that door too of like, okay, if you want to do more of the adventure side of it, it's like the photos are going to complement that so well and just be such a unique way to tell that story.
I mean, more and more people have realized that that takes a lot, as well for their memories, for their
Yeah.
social media, for their storytelling, everything. And as somebody that, I don't know, it's an athlete, an influencer, ambassador, doesn't matter. Like they still want to have that recorded, kind of. And
Mm-hmm.
before it was a bit harder, but I think now, we also live in an era that, and you can just have a great camera in a pocket and be really good. So,
Mm-hmm.
how are
Well,
you with that?
okay, and like another big topic that I found fascinating that you also posted about on Instagram was, I mean, like at the Traka, and like this has been something that like I've just been super curious about because like I've been to trail races, but I haven't paid as much attention to just like who is holding the camera. And so that was one of my big questions at the Traka of like, okay, I'm gonna be standing at the finish line. Who are the people with the cameras in their hands? And I took a video. I think you have like the same video of Caro after she won. And the entire circle of people around her is just men. I was a little bit shocked. So I would love to hear your thoughts and experience on that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've been doing photos of that, like that kind of like other side, like behind the camera people, and taking screenshots on a lot of races because it's
Yeah,
still shocking that, for example, I've done as a photographer, I've done UTMB, which is the biggest ultra race and running in the
right.
world. I've done Dakar Rally, which is the biggest motorsports race in the world. And I've done Traka Unbound, like already, I don't know how many times, and other ones, doesn't matter. But I've never got any single person who asked me if I could do photos this year. And I didn't push it. I don't push it through my channels. I have my own thing in my own, personal, let's say, social media. But that doesn't mean that people don't really like, it's just weird that people, what does it mean? Like if you don't post it in social media, nobody remembers what you've done. We used to,
Mm,
I have websites, like I have 3 websites and I pay for these websites. It's a lot of money in photos and I still have everything there. And I don't know, for some reason, there was no question, which I was pretty shocked. There was, well, I end up working for a manager of one of the athletes on the 200 for a brand. So it's not directly
Got
from a
it.
brand.
That's what, yeah, I was wondering that because I'm like, there's also just like so many different pieces of the puzzle, obviously, where it's like if you're working for the event or if you're working for the brand or if you're with it, like there's lots of different people there for different reasons. But yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know. Don't ask me why this happens, but I have Excels and lists of women, and I have another friend, Jasmine from South Africa. She also has amazing sources, and it's like there are women out there that do the same for. I mean, come on, there were like 20, there were 160 media registered on the Traka. I can't. I want to ask the organizers, but I can't. It can't be possible that in 160 there's only 3 women taking photos, and I kind of like include me just because it's not it's like 2. Then I discover, well, I mean, there's Sonam and his girlfriend, but his girlfriend doesn't want to take credit. So, like I was like, girl, go on and take photos yourself, like. And then there was Kira McVitie, but she was doing a blog video, so it's not really like what I was focusing in. I was just focusing anyway, but it was shocking. I was just absolutely shocked. And the entire industry of photographers and videographers were there because I knew them all. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, where are the girls? Like, where are the girls? Like there's a lot of women out there that have done a lot of amazing jobs, and there was no one
Hmm.
here. Every year I say I need to do something, but I really need to do something. But
Because it's the Smart Collective, is that what it's called? The photography creative direction website? When
yeah.
did you like officially launch that? And like what have been some of the most fun projects that you feel like you've worked on with that?
So I launched that when I left Komoot as a community manager, and that was 20. I'm not really sure. Wait, where are we? Like 2021, I think. After
Yeah.
COVID. It was after COVID,
Okay.
2020. Anyway, and I had some really amazing projects. I think I just released a film that finally it was like what I wanted to do exactly. Uh, Sadly, we had a little accident. So obviously that's not how I wanted to do it, but
Hmm.
but I did a full woman's crew. I had one of the best climber photographers in the world, probably. She's Lena Drapella, and it was her 6th week of ever riding, and I took her to a bikepacking trip to document the whole bikepacking trip, and she just smashed it. Like her photos are just absolutely incredible. So yeah, that was really cool, and it was just like the fixer was also like a Turkish woman, and then she decided to bring a male just because I made it the route. So that was
Yeah.
okay. But like my idea was like a full woman's crew, no like no support and everything. We have everything on the bikes. We bike pack here and there, and the film went really well, and I don't know, it was amazing. So that was really one of my top projects, I think. I think obviously one of the other ones was past normal ages ago told me to do like 4 little portraits about 4 athletes or like
Okay.
riders or friends and influencers and everything. And
Yeah.
we did that in Iceland. It was very, very challenging, and I cried like a million times because it was super hard, and I felt I had a lot of pressure.
Okay.
But it being a really cool project that I was proud of, and I did my own director's cut just because I thought I wanted to bring a bit more of my style and not just what they wanted. So yeah, that was
Okay.
nice.
Wait, was that the like surfing and biking series that you did? No, that's something else.
That's all that are more like my personal projects that become film also. So I like kind of direct it, but write it, but plan it, but produce it, but bring the money and all that stuff. So I tried to do everything.
Where do you feel like, I mean, like, have you just always been somebody that's been like super psyched to go after these like wild ideas? Like, you just seem like somebody that's like very much so like once you get an idea in your head, like there's nobody that's gonna like stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an idea now, and I'm so scared because the idea is so big that I don't even know how to like deal with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I only think on that right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely.
How do you feel like you navigate kind of like gauging where you're at with like excitement, but like also just like preventing a bit of like burnout? And I feel like especially this is interesting to ask after you just came off of coming back from the Traka and we're just like super psyched to be back at home. But like, do you feel like you kind of have a way of kind of like balancing that out a bit?
Yeah, good. That's a great question. I mean, I think last year I was on my limits of pure burnout. I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I was like, this is my last year cycling like this year now. I want to do something nice and something that everybody kind of remembers me. So, the adventure more ideas just it ends with a book. Well, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
end, but it will be like a book at the end of the year. And I was thinking like it will be a book of this year's races, but actually more than I think it's going to be a book about the photography that I've done over the years. Because I've gone to some amazing places. And but anyway, going back to the burnout thing, I think like I wish I would have discovered it before, like the fact that I could put like the camera and the bike together into a races or into like, like this kind of stuff because that kind of motivates me and wants me to see more.
Mm-hmm.
And will not go to these places unless there was that kind of event. So I think that's
Okay.
that's the cool part of like the events it's which they are. And I motivate myself by creating these stories and not just so like the adventure more is not just about a race, it's about like the culture and the landscape, the people from that land that we are going through because people are just looking at the floor and just racing and they're not realizing that
Yeah.
there's a I don't know, there's a 120 million year old vineyard that is been there and this guy is like reviving everything and doing wine from it, like, so like things like this. So I think it becomes very special where we ride through, and I don't think it's the story's told enough, and I don't think I can even tell it enough, but I'm trying to tell the most of it. And yeah, I don't know, I think yeah, that's how I am trying to manage the balance between having fun and not burning myself out. And at the same time, I'm not gonna stop cycling, and I have a big goal. Like it might take a year, or it might take two, um, because it's pretty big. And I think that's gonna be very interesting to also balance it to not burn out, through the process of doing it or trying to complete it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
W Collective. When did you start it? And I would love to hear, yeah, I'd love to hear about the beginnings of the W Collective because it's sick.
Like the only like same COVID times.
Yeah, yeah.
COVID times released a lot of stuff, and I started basically doing like Instagram lives, and they were called
Okay.
the talks, and
Okay.
I think I just did like six or something like that. It was pretty
Yeah.
tough to like manage to get that sorted. And still have a kind of like somehow lockdown life.
Hmm.
But I was also a full-time employer, so I also had that as well. Anyway, like, so I started with that, and then I've saw a lot of things throughout that and talking to different women, but there was one in particular I was shocked, well, not shocked, but I was like, do you hear me properly?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
okay. I was like it's not shocked what I want to say, but it made me have a big think about what was happening. And basically this female friend of mine, she was Muslim, and she's like, how do you do it with a period on the bike? And I was like,
Mm.
what I mean, it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, how do you do it? And I was like, I just put a tampon. And then she's like, yeah, but I can't. And I was like,
Mm.
whoa, I didn't realize that. And I was like,
Yeah.
and then like, how do you do this? Like, I don't ride my bike. I just stay home, but I want to ride my bike. And I was like, this is a big problem, but I can't answer because I don't know the answer. And I was like, I need to create like something where people can talk freely and naturally about stuff. And And I created the W forum, and that was like a forum in Slack at the time, where you can like, post and create channels about things and post
Hmm.
stuff, ask questions, but it just didn't work. And it was
Hmm.
very expensive for me. I'm not this, the W Collective has always been a non-profit. I don't
Yeah.
get money about it. Um, and uh, and so, it just became very expensive. So I changed it to Discord, tried to bring it up. Again, it's a full-time job. So like, trying to have like anything around that is just real full-time job.
Hmm.
And then so that just I just left it a bit open, but I mean, it just doesn't work. Like I feel like a lot of women want to support women, and when we become a group, they're just like, no. It's just like, and they just like don't like sort of like use that source.
Hmm.
So unfortunately it didn't work anyway. So I decided to continue doing other stuff, and I did the women's rights because then a lot of people can meet. I have a network from around the world, and I thought, if I connect these people in random cities that they don't know each other, they don't know maybe that there's a group ride or there's a, like, so I partner with some like woman clubs in Amsterdam and Belgium, and one year every race I went, I did a woman's ride, like
Yeah.
for example in Kenya,
Yeah.
Roby was one of the first women's ride there. So and there was 15 women, and I was like, wow, like that didn't matter, the bikes didn't matter anything. I actually was the one who crashed. So uh, so imagine, it was so good. And I don't know, I feel like that's what I wanted to bring. I wanted to just bring women together, and the rides helped a lot. And the same as the Traka, like other women. I wanted to do the biggest one. It didn't happen, but it was fine.
Wait,
But it
what
was
has
very
been the
cool to
biggest
also.
ride?
I think last year was bigger than this year. I'm not
Okay.
gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the same, things got so professional that there was not even one pro to show up. And
Yeah.
the first years, all the pros show up. All of them
Interesting.
were kind of like, yeah, I don't know. And now it just became like so professional that they can't give him 1 hour and a half of their life to join like a woman's group, right? And that's what I mean when I'm like, when it becomes a group, they're like all out, and it's like, come on, girls, like, it will be great to show up, like, you're like somebody that people look forward seeing and talking
Right.
to. So it's not just me, I do it also for all of the others. But yeah, anyway.
What else is on your calendar for the rest of this year for Adventure More? I know, wait, because there's Midnight Sun and one other one that I'm trying to think of.
Yes, the Bright Midnight is the next one. It's pretty exciting. Well, first I'm doing like a bikepacking trip to the BAM, which is the Italian festival, BAM,
Okay.
and I'm doing a route that I will publish, and I will sort of like try and track so everybody can come
Mm-hmm.
and join. So throughout the route, if people want to join, they can join. And then after, yeah, the Bright Midnight, which I'm very excited with because it's like completely another culture, is Justina's that is like, the guy like the OG of ultra endurance, like the guy who holds off right now the Triple Crown. So I told him the other day that that will be my third ever ultra, and he just didn't believe it. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the third one, just to tick off that box, and just that even though I'm shitting my pants, the Silk Road Mountain Race.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
A pretty stacked calendar for sure.
yeah. And finish up with Acro Sanders again.
Okay. Because where is that one? Is that Chile? Oh my gosh.
Chile.
Well, and how long have you been in Chamonix for? And what kind of was like the thought of, because you were in Girona before Chamonix?
Yeah, I was in Girona. I moved to Morzine, but it was very seasonal, and there was not much people doing out like proper outdoor stuff that I was searching. And then I
Hmm.
had a for friends here, and Chamonix is the mecca of alpine, alpinism and a lot of skiing. So I was like, okay, I'm coming here, and I had opportunity to have this little house So I just came, and it's been now a year and a half nearly.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, I'm stoked here. I just don't want to leave. It's so good. So yeah, I'm pretty happy.
How is it like traveling in and out of Chamonix? Because I'm like, I mean, it's not the easiest place in the world to get to.
No, but it's only an hour from the biggest Geneva airport, so
Oh,
Switzerland.
okay.
So it's like
Okay, that's really not that bad then.
and Morzine didn't have any single connection to the airport, didn't have any bus, didn't have
Hmm.
anything. That was really hard and really expensive.
Hmm.
Um, but here you have the bus that takes you like 5 times a day to the airport or more in high seasons. So yeah, it's pretty easy. And then you have Italy at 20 minutes or up and down into the mountains. And then you have Switzerland to uh like what is it, like 20K ride? So
Yeah, no, it's a pretty epic spot to be based out of. Okay, wrapping up a little bit. What if you were to give yourself advice like 5 years ago? What do you think it would be?
5 years ago. 5 years ago was COVID. I don't know.
Okay,
Hmm,
7 years ago. 7 to 10 years ago.
I guess uh I think maybe to have like a bit more patience. I mean, it's just very hard. I'm a very impatient person. When I have something in my mind, I just want it ASAP.
Hmm.
And I think for example, this next project as well is going to take time and it needs a lot of patience because it's not going to happen from one day to the other.
Hmm.
But none of the ones I've done either, I just had to learn it the hard way. And sometimes things have gone wrong because I just wanted them, or I just did them, or just thought about it and then wanted them and then did them straight away.
Hmm. Hmm.
So a bit more patience would have been good. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, wait, what is this big? Is this like, are you gonna like cycle around the world? Is like that the kind of scale that this project is?
It's kind of a scale, but it's not around the world because I think that's done. But
Okay.
like it's not one sport. It's gonna be 2 to 3 to maybe 4 sports together.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
I'm just adding things because I just love it. But yeah, I think it's gonna be something that nobody has done before ever.
Okay,
So
so we'll
no
see
no man.
Sammy like flying with a bike attached and skis across the Alps.
Across the Atlantic. No. No, it's yeah, it enables like a lot of sports, but it's not like all together.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think flying will help to be efficient. But it's not gonna be all the time. It's just gonna be maybe a few times.
Okay. Well, and what's the timeline with it? Do you have any flights that you're like, like it's like a dream flight or not quite yet? How did you kind of decide to jump into starting to fly?
I think because of Chamonix, like everybody, oh my God, it snowed so much up there. I'm seeing the mountains now and it's opening up and it's just like all snow again. Great. Oh wow, yes. Let's go skiing tomorrow. Um, so I think like I mean aerial photography is something that I always wanted. The drone is a thing, but doing a photography, it just might be amazing.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, for sure that, but also the fact that I mean, I see everybody flying here in Chamonix, and then you see the people like flying on top of the glacier, and
Hmm.
you can go up Mont Blanc and fly out of Mont Blanc. I mean, it's pretty
Hmm.
wild, but
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
the time that it saves you to come down. It's just so much.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, I mean, yeah, I think it's just like here, you have to. Like, this is no go. I mean, I'm not gonna say that in 2 weeks I'm gonna fly out of Mont Blanc, but I'm definitely gonna be and also the one thing that is like really, 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 really cool is when they open all the lifts. If I
Yeah.
have a workout and because I have a coach and the training and I follow all this stuff. And I don't, that's not a workout. I just go to the lift, go up, fly out, and come down. And it's, you still have done something absolutely amazing, but you did not have to do a workout. It's just great.
This is true. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Just like taking the chairlift up to just like fly back down. Wow. That's a good. Yep, I'm gonna get into flying.
I feel like it's gonna be the new trend for sure.
I
It's
think it
very
is. And I feel like I feel like a lot of people that I've been talking with recently have been like starting to try it out, where it's like I feel like it was a bit more of like a niche group of people, and now it's kind of like opening its doors to the more
thing
general
is
people.
that it's also like it has to be conscious because it's very dangerous. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people who die every fucking week, like
Hmm.
especially on hikes. So, it's not a joke of a thing. It's like it's definitely like I'm not doing a 1 week course. I'm doing like a 2 week course, and if I'm gonna fly with friends that I've had flying since like 10 years, and it's just not I'm not gonna fly alone yet and all this stuff. So it's just, I don't want to be like, yeah, flying is awesome, everybody go and do it. It's just, it's a lot of things behind that flying thing. So yeah, this is to be conscious about it.
Smart flying, not just
Same as
going.
alpine, same as mountains. Don't take it as a like just as a like stepping out of your dog kind of playground, but just take it as a risk, and it is.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay, do you have any tips, tricks, life mottos to leave people with today?
I always say like if you hesitate on something, you always have the no. So if you don't do it, you don't know if you ever have the yes. So that's my theory. Like,
I
why
like
not?
it. Why not try it out? Once again, thank you so much for listening in today. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. And if you could also just review us on Spotify or Apple or whatever it is, that would also be amazing. And I hope that everyone has a lovely rest of their week.